Hey guys, this is Angie, also known as The Light. Welcome to my channel. Um, like, subscribe, and if you'd like to make a donation, my PayPal information is usually in my description box. I appreciate those who have donated already. Now, today I want to talk about narcissists and their eating habits and how they use food to control others around them. I would have never thought about this, and I don't understand why this didn't stick out to me because I'm a foodie, as you can tell. I've been a big girl all my life, and food has been something that has been a tool with the narcissists that were in my life that they've used against me. Um, and I don't remember his name, but there's a guy who was in my comments and another person as well, I'm not sure if it was a male or female. They were talking back and forth about how the narcissists in their life were big meat eaters. Now, I know I consider narcissists to be demonic, and we watch so many movies of demons and stuff and how they feed on flesh, and I'm sure that's in your mind because when you hear that, you're like, oh, narcissists are demons and they're eat a lot of meat because they're demons, they're feeding on the flesh. Maybe that is possible. Maybe that is true. But honestly, I that's not my experience. My experience with the narcissist have been, when it came to food, has been either their eating habits were horrible. I mean, they ate terribly, very unhealthy, or they ate extremely healthy. So I've had those who just ate anything that crawled, that walked, that swam. And then I had other narcissists who were like health nut freaks, basically. There never is like that middle ground. Even with the whole cleanliness thing, I've been around narcissists who are hoarders, who are just so filthy and dirty. And then I've been around other narcissists who were super duper clean. Like if they killed someone, you wouldn't be able to find a drop of blood. There was never like that normal middle ground of it when it comes to food. Now, I grew up with a narcissistic stepfather. And, I don't know why this never even crossed my mind. So I'm thankful for those who brought this up in the comments. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm a procrastinator. I'm a little lazy. I didn't want to do a whole bunch of research, but I tried to find videos on YouTube about narcissists and diets, and there really isn't much videos out there about narcissists and their diets. Just a few, but not to extreme. And a couple of people were just telling their stories about food and their narcissistic parents and how they use the food to control them. Then I did a Google search, and some articles were talking about how narcissists and eating disorders are connected. How a lot of narcissists end up having eating disorders because they're so obsessed with their looks that they develop these eating disorders. Um, but mostly for me, growing up with my narcissistic stepfather, my biological father is an overweight man. Obesity runs in my father's side of the family. I got my father's weight and my mother's looks. Okay, so I have always been an overweight person. I'm gonna say probably about like 6 or 8 is when I started to pick up weight. By like 13 is when I guess you can say I was obese. Um, it's something, I believe obesity is a genetic disease. And like my weight and my health has always been a battle. Thank God I don't have any complications due to my weight, but it's always been, my duty and a thing for me that I want to lose weight and I want to eat healthier. And believe it or not, I eat very healthy in comparison to a lot of people in my life. Um, but I do remember, and it's so funny, and this could possibly be why it's very interesting that even though I'm overweight, I don't eat as much, and that's because of the narcissist. Um, Growing up with a narcissistic stepfather, I remember like having a fear to even eat. To the point, oh my gosh. I mean, this guy was just a freaking weirdo. I mean, I never felt comfortable eating in front of people. Um, we would be at the dinner table, and that's why I loved it when he started to cheat on my mom, because he wasn't home very often, and then that meant that it would just be me, my mother, and my stepsister. We would eat at the dinner table, because when he was home and we went to go eat, I felt like, when you're eating, everyone's paying attention to their plate. No, he would pay attention to my plate. He wouldn't even be paying attention to his own food. He would be staring at me from across the table, and he'll say, "Why are you eating so much? Why are you eating like that? Why are you chewing like that? Put your drink down. Don't drink that." To the point where eating was like a headache for me. It wasn't an enjoyable thing. I just wanted to hurry up, eat my food, and just clean my plate and just leave the kitchen. I didn't have a good relationship with food. I remember like being in the third grade wanting to starve myself, or not even wanting to eat at home. I rather had wanted to eat like in the bathroom, or I just felt like because of what he was doing to me at home, I felt uncomfortable eating around my friends at school, or my friends at church and stuff like that, to the point I didn't want to upset anybody if I took an extra piece of chicken, you know, um, not just because I'm overweight, but because of what he did to me. He effed up my head with that, controlling me with food. After my mother divorced him when I was 12 years old, I'm gonna say about 13 or 14, I visit him in another state where he lives. Whatever, he lives in North Carolina. I visit North Carolina, and he continued to do the same thing when we were at the table eating dinner. He wasn't doing that to his wife. He wasn't doing that to his other children. He was just doing it to me, to the point where when it was dinner time, I was like, "Oh, I'm not hungry right now." And when everybody would go to sleep, I would go downstairs and I would make a sandwich and eat at like midnight, basically, because I didn't even feel comfortable eating in front of him. It was just completely just, you're sitting at the table and he's just like staring. "Oh, sit up straight. You're not sitting right. You're not using your fork right. You're eating too much. You're chewing too loud. You're doing this. You're doing that." Like, eating wasn't enjoyable at all. And I never thought about it. Like, I think sometimes I still do that now, even as an adult. I'm 34 years old now. Like, sometimes like, say if I'm at like a wedding or a banquet or something like that, I feel like, "Oh, let me not eat all this food because I don't want to." This sounds really stupid. I don't want to, look greedy, and then, you know there's people around me. I have a friend, she's like almost 40, and she's probably about 90 pounds, and it's so interesting. When me and this girl go out, this girl's ordering steak and lobster. She can out eat meat, And she's always like, "You know what I noticed, Angie? You don't eat much," And it's really funny. And when people get to know me, they're like, "Oh man," people just assume when you're a bigger person that you eat a lot. But I noticed that I do that. I don't want to insult anybody with my eating. Like, eating is normal, so I'm not gonna lie, I tend to do that. I think my head is still a little bit messed up with that, which is pretty freaking messed up. um so the controlling thing when it comes to food, and then eventually I feel when I got away from him, I developed a horrible relationship with food, because then I started to look to food for comfort, which, a lot of people do. And as I got older, I started looking to alcohol for comfort. I wasn't looking for food, for comfort. And I remember when I had a friendship with my ex best friend who was a narc. He was different. He wanted me to eat. It was really really funny. I think his way of controlling me was, you know what? I don't want anyone to love you, because he would say that if you stay big, or if you got bigger, then you're not gonna get married. And I'm in my head like, do you know how many big women in this world, bigger than me, are married with kids and loving relationships? And you know, I understand some people really don't believe that, but yes, there are many big women all over the world who are in healthy, loving marriages and relationships and have healthy children. And in his mind, that's how he was controlling me. So if he was with me, he'll try to cook up a whole bunch of food, or if he went out, order more food, I'll pay for it. And I was just like, whoa, like, you're tripping. So that was his way of trying to control my life with food. If I feed her and make her fatter, then I'll have her as my supply. She's not going anywhere. No man's gonna want her. I mean, he had a heart attack when I did get into a relationship. He basically, of course, he tried to break up my relationship when I did get into a relationship during our friendship. It was just like, no. Um, so I just realized that, like, they really do control you. My narcissistic grandmother, her form of way of controlling what I ate, she would put no food in the house at all. She would eat outside the house, and if she did buy something, she would only buy something for herself and for my uncle. It was just like, I don't care if she starved. So that was her way. Like, even if I was having financial problems, she did not care if I ate or not. She never asked me, did you eat today? There was no food in the house. There were times where I didn't have enough money to eat. There was many times that I lived in a narcissistic home that I didn't eat, or I ate once a day due to financial problems. And she really didn't care. That was her way of being controlling. Like, I'm not going to put any food in the house because I don't want her to have shit, So that is another way that they can control you, especially if you're a child and your only source of income, or your only source of food is from your narcissistic parent. How else are you going to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner if they don't feed you, unless you're eating at school? So they definitely use food. And it's so funny how, like, some people never even recognize that. They don't even think about that. I don't know about the whole meat eating thing, but I remember, like, my grandmother's diet, it was just disgusting. I mean, I don't eat that much meat anymore. Like, I eat chicken and fish, and I'm trying to, like, let go of chicken, due to the hormones and all this stuff. I don't drink milk. I barely eat eggs. Like, my body cannot process a lot of meat products, and dairy products. It's just the hormones is not good for me, and I have issues with my uterus, not my uterus, my ovaries. So that's not good. The Because of the hormones and stuff like that, it's not healthy. One day I'll go vegan, but I'm just not ready for it. But anyway, I just, like, would be so disgusted to watch her eat, because she would eat the weirdest stuff. Like, she never ate good. And you would think, actually, my grandmother was from the South, and you would think, like, oh, they grew up on a farm, they had their own chickens, their own cows, their own vegetables. You would think that, I mean, I understand, like, when you're from the South, you eat soul food and stuff like that, but she never ate well at all. She ate a lot of fast food. Um, she chewed tobacco. She secretly was a drinker, because when she died, I found a whole cabinet full of liquor. But acted as if she hated alcoholism. It's very strange. But she would just mix different stuff. Like, she would have, like, a sandwich on her plate with like Jello, and then, like, have a glass of milk, and then like macaroni and cheese and just eat it all mixed up together. It was just so disgusting to watch, and I just didn't understand it. Like, she ate like that all the time. A lot of pork. I don't eat pork at all. A lot of pork. I guess you can say a lot of meat. Not much vegetables, just eating out a lot. Eating a lot of food out on the street. She hardly ever kept groceries in the house. And because of that, I feel like my uncle, who has some mental illness, he also eats just the way she ate. He's not eating healthy foods, even if you just eat like, chicken, rice, and vegetables, that's even better than eating like burgers and White Castle and McDonald's and Wendy's. I don't even eat that stuff, and I'm a big person. I do not eat fast food, so it's really interesting how horrible these diets are. But then I look on the other hand, you know, of my narcissistic ex best friend. He was like a gym nut, and he was very skinny. He was about like 120 pounds, very skinny, obsessed with his looks, constantly in his face, with his hair, with his clothes. Gotta look fly, gotta look fresh. Always at the gym, juicing, like eating, good stuff. But when it came to me, no, 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 I'm gonna feed you away. I gotta make you fatter. So that's my that's my experience when it comes to food. I dated a narcissist a couple of times, but when I think back, one time I was dating this narcissist, the one I dated for like almost 5, 6 years. He randomly like gained 50 pounds, and I was just like, what the hell was that about? He just like gained 50 pounds out of nowhere. He had a six pack when I met him, and then, I remember I moved away, and when I came back, he had gained 50 pounds. Like, he didn't even look like himself. It was so weird. I don't know what the heck. He said he was eating Krispy Kreme all the time. And I was just like, that's strange. And it was just like so unbalanced. It was just so random. Another narcissist I've dated, we would go out to a restaurant, and he would literally order like three entrees for himself. And I'm sitting there with my one, or like I'm eating a big chicken salad or something. And he'll order like an appetizer, three entrees, dessert, drinks, beer. And I'm just looking at him like, okay. So for me, with the narcissist, it's either their eating habits are horrible, or they're obsessively, insanely perfect, pretty much. But I don't know. I wonder what that is about when it comes to why some narcissists are such meat eaters. But if you think about it, the narcissist is unstable. They are an unstable creature. So most of them probably will have a horrible diet because they're unable to be stable and be disciplined and care about anything or care about their body. So of course they will have horrible eating habits, and use food to control people. Food is life. You need food to sustain yourself. So of course they're going to use food to control you. It's just a very interesting topic. Please study it for yourself, research it, because I'm going to continue to research it. But definitely I would have to say most of the narcissists that I do know don't have good diets. I would say they're not. And the ones that really, do have good diets is because they're using their looks to gain their new next victims. Basically, they gotta look good. They always in the gym, they always eating right and stuff like that. But if even the ones that were in the gym, they still have like these unhealthy lifestyles. Like this one guy I was seeing, and he's a narcissist. And yeah, he's always in the gym, he's eating right, but then he will like party and club and drink all the time and have sex with a whole bunch of girls. That's still an unhealthy lifestyle. Doesn't matter if you're eating right, it's still an unhealthy lifestyle. So yeah, definitely pay attention to how people treat you when it comes to food. how if they're controlling you, or if their diet just kind of throws you off a bit. Pay attention to everything. So hopefully this information was helpful to you. Definitely opened me up to a topic that I don't hear that much when it comes to narcissism. And thank you for tuning in. I will continue to make more videos. Peace and blessings. Oh, I want to show you this t-shirt. It says Spoiled Minds on it. My friend has a production company out in Atlanta. You can go on Instagram and look up Spoiled Minds and check him out. He does skits and what does he do? What does he do? Skits and poetry and photography and all that good stuff. So if you're looking for somebody, hit him up. All right. See you soon. Talk to you soon.